Everyone, continuing on the Instagram train a little bit, I wanted to talk today about how you make a good first impression on Instagram. You only have about 2 to 3 seconds to really make an impression on someone who's coming to your profile for the first time. So many people focus and spend a ton of time on each individual photo, styling it, making it look nice, editing it, posting a great caption, etc. But then we forget to think about all of the photos together as a whole. And in truth, when someone comes to your profile for the first time, they're not seeing one photo at a time like your normal followers are. They're seeing all of your photos that you've posted, 10 to 12 photos in a row. So you want to think of these as more of a cohesive unit because that's how you're actually going to expand from your current following and get new followers who potentially will book with you. So when someone comes to your profile, you have 2 to 3 seconds to complete 3 tasks. The first is to show them what you do. The second is to show them that you're really good at it. And the third is to convince them to do something, whatever that is you want. So it could be subscribing to an email list, inquiring, going to your website, just following you, etc. So complete an action, but it's up to you what that action is. The first one is convincing them what you do. And this is surprisingly difficult. If you are a stationer, for instance, and you're posting a ton of photos of brides with bouquets, even though you worked on that wedding, and even if you may have stationary photos further in the carousel, like if you're posting a few at a time, that still is confusing to a potential client. So if I'm looking for stationery and I go to your page and only see bride and groom photos, I might think you're a florist or a photographer or a wedding planner and leave before I've taken the time to delve deeper into that. Even if you have it in your bio or even in your name that you're a stationery designer or calligrapher or something, it still can be a little bit confusing. And often people on Instagram overlook that because Instagram is such a visual platform. They're just going to pay attention to the photos. So try to make it very, very obvious what you do. Don't post a ton of stock images. Don't post a ton of work that's not yours. Don't post a ton of work that doesn't show what you actually created. It also doesn't hurt to add that in your bio. Make it very obvious that you are a stationery designer, calligrapher, etc. So put a little bit of a blurb just in case they do read that about what type of business you are. After you've made it obvious what you do, you have to convince them that you're good at it because otherwise they're not going to give you that follow or do whatever it is you want them to do. So make sure your work is speaking for itself. What I find with a lot of my Instagram audit clients is that their feed looks a little bit busy because they have a lot of different elements competing. So each individual photo looks really nice on its own, but together as a unit, you have a lot of different styling elements, backgrounds, textures, colors, all at play. So my number one tip here is just to choose one thing, whether it's a styling method, a background, a color scheme, etc., that you can remain consistent throughout all of your photos. So a popular thing is just a background. I have a marble tile that all of my photos are taken on that marble tile. So everything on my feed is marble background with stationery in the foreground. What this does is it actually allows someone looking at my feed as a whole unit to completely ignore the marble. The marble just fades to the background because it's in every single photo and it's subtle enough that it doesn't take away from the stationery. So then what someone's looking at when they come to my profile is the stationery. The stationery is popping out. The work that I do is the first thing that draws their eye, not all these different elements and colors and backgrounds and things. So pick that one thing that you feel like you can stick with, whether that's a background or a color scheme, and figure out how you can incorporate that into almost all of your photos. Because this is just going to highlight your work in the best way and show that you're good at it. So in those 2 to 3 seconds, that person is going to see your work, evaluate whether it fits their style and what they're looking for, and hopefully do number 3, which is complete an action. Again, it's up to your business, your model, what time of year it is, where you are in the season, etc., what action you want them to complete. At the very least, you want them to give you a follow because they're already on Instagram. It'd be great if they continue to follow you and you could get further actions down the road. But you might also want them to go to your website, inquire with you, join your email list, etc. So make sure that it's very obvious what action you want them to do. The simplest way to do this is just put it in your bio. A lot of people do like a little freebie in their bio. So it says, free stationary timeline below, and then they have a link to it. You can also put it in your highlights. Those are often the first things that clients will look at when they are deciding whether or not to follow someone or to inquire with someone. You can also put this in your highlights. Those are often the first place that potential clients look when they're evaluating whether to inquire with someone or follow them. Especially if you do have the swipe up feature, that's a great place to just put a link, tell them to swipe up, explain what they need to do, and they're very likely to do that when they're first looking at your profile. If you don't have the swipe up feature, of course, you can type out your email address, tell them the link is in bio, explain to them where they can find this action so that they can take it. And of course, a lot of people will click on your first couple photos. So this is just a great example of why you need a call to action in almost every photo. So if someone is coming to your profile and decides to click and see what your captions are like, see what your voice is like, they're going to get that call to action as well, no matter where they come into that profile or which photos they click on. So what I'd recommend here is have an outsider look at your profile and talk to them about what their first impression is. Try to look at it from a point of view of someone who's never seen your work before. Ask yourself, is it obvious what I do? Is it obvious that I'm good at what I do? Or am I just distracting you with pretty styling elements? There's sometimes a difference between having a really nice, styled, lovely photo and it actually giving you success as far as getting followers, getting new clients, getting inquiries, etc. And then ask someone, is it obvious what your next step is? Do you just follow me and then you have to wait a week until you start seeing my posts and then there's a call to action? Or is it obvious from the beginning how I can work with you if I'm interested in the type of work that you do and hiring you in the future? If it's not obvious, ask yourself how you can do that. Put a link in your bio, put call to action on all your photos, add some little highlight reels with direct call to action. Even one that just says like, start here, or if you're new or something like that. That's a really great way to encourage someone to just take that action from the start and give them a roadmap of how to interact with you as a potential client. So I hope this video was helpful in creating an awesome first impression on Instagram. I hope it encourages you to stop thinking of your photos as individual units and think of them as a part of a larger unit that's creating inquiries, leads, and ultimately sales for you, because that's the whole point of Instagram. And that's what I want for all of you, is to be getting 1 million sales every year on Instagram. Let us know what you thought of this video in the comments below. We'd be happy to give you a little follow-up. And if you want a personalized Instagram audit with me, we do offer those about once a month. So feel free to check our schedule, which I'll link below. And as always, give us a like or subscribe so that you don't miss out on our future videos. And have a great day. Happy Gramming!